I dated a girl for 3 years and it was great. I couldn't believe I had found someone so perfect for me. We lived together for most of that time, but eventually broke up for 6 months for reasons unrelated to the relationship. Despite the fact that she was in a different state, everything was as good as before. We went to see each other a few times and I thought that things were actually getting better. The relationship was getting better and better. Then there was a period of several months when she seemed to become distant. I feared the worst, but I thought I was being paranoid. This girl was too emotionally connected to me for there to be anything else, so I thought. I decided that I couldn't live with myself if I let it slip away because of something as stupid as the distance between us. Even thinking that he could somehow evaporate seemed stupid. We were just too close. However, I acted out of paranoia. I called her and told her that I wanted her to come back and move in with me again, and that I couldn't stand us being apart anymore, and that I felt like we were drifting apart. I can't explain how horrible the next moment was. I had never heard her so sad. She was depressed and I could understand it. Before she said anything, she told me that I would hang up and never speak to her again. I told her that would not happen. Maybe that prepared me. At that moment, I assumed I was cheating, but in the back of my mind I thought she might be sick or something. It was in her wording, "I've ruined everything forever," or something like that. It seemed like an eternity. I was waiting for her to tell me that she had HIV. It was then that she told me that she was 1 month pregnant, that she was not my hand. My heart sank. I knew that the whole future we had always planned was gone. I told her that everything would be fine, that I loved her and that accidents happen. I only asked for a few details, how far she had progressed and if she was healthy. Then I told her not to worry. She would hear me again, but I had to go. After that, I went back and looked through our phone call and email history to try to pinpoint the exact day she did it, assuming it was only once and with one person. The worst part was that she cheated on me when everything seemed fine. We talked that day and got a hilarious chain of emails. It was such a betrayal. Believe me, it hurts. The seriousness of the pregnancy too. It wasn't just a blowjob. She was carrying someone else's baby, as if what was my dream was just an accident of some other asshole. After all this time, I still can't help but cry when I talk about the details. When I called her back, I told her that she was forgiven. I was honest and told her that I was hurt and that I could no longer trust her. But I was not cruel. She knew how much I was hurting, but I think she was hurting much worse. Both of our dreams were shattered, but at least I didn't have to live with the idea that it was my fault. I admit, I had terrible feelings and thought of terrible things I wanted to say, but I just didn't have the desire to take revenge. When you love someone, you don't want revenge. You want understanding. I was just sad. This all happened a few years ago. For the sake of brevity, I'll summarize by saying that she had a baby and he's wonderful. I stayed with her as a friend throughout the whole ordeal. We are still close friends today. I am so happy that I did not react harshly. She and I are not together. That trust has been broken. However, I kept my friend. I learned a great life lesson, as did she. I also had to practice love when it was not easy. Although I am sad to think about the details of this event, I am very happy that this person is still in my life. I am very glad that I was not mean to her when she was at her lowest point. Today I would regret it. The moment she told me this information, it was over. She knew it, and I knew it. The conversation was not to be about hurt feelings and wounded egos, because I was now talking to a person who was pregnant with a child. I was talking to her as I would talk to any friend who was in a similar crisis. It wasn't about me or us, it was about her and the baby. The worst thing I could do was to make her resent her pregnancy. For this baby, it was important that from the very beginning there were no resentments towards his existence. Besides, she was already beating herself up very badly, very badly. I was worried. Even an insensitive cry for help could harm the child's health. She needed not to hear that she was forgiven, but to hear the words that would be said if she were truly forgiven. She needed to be given a little affection. No, she never said anything to suggest that she would also harm herself, and she never held me in emotional captivity. When her health condition became stable, I gave up this situation until the end of the pregnancy, and she was fine with it. She never played mind tricks. I'm not a doormat, although I really don't take offense to being called that in this case. At this point, she turned into a desperate friend, so I had to react accordingly. Protecting my pride was the last thing on my mind. I knew she was in a worse position, so I decided to do my part to make sure she and the baby got through it okay. I am a strong person and I have recovered well. My younger brother is being driven around by senseless women because his life is ruled by his penis. There are other people in this thread who got their girl back. I know doormats. I am not a doormat. Someone also said that I am being used. I promise you I am not. At least no more than any friendship is a couple of people using each other. I quickly drew the lines. Yes, she and I are friends, but I've since moved on and had several normal and healthy relationships. Even though it gets a little sad when you retell the story, it's not really a big deal anymore. I wouldn't have even guessed how I was being used.